let me tell you something today, guys. We have a lot to get to, and only a little bit has to do with the Washington Capitals because there's more injury problems. We have to clear some stuff up. We're going to talk about the Red Wings. They're pretty good, and the young kids are doing well. Let's talk about it here on Locked On Caps.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Capitals. I am your host, as always, the insider to the insiders, Tyler Kuehl, here on this a little bit longer of a show today, mainly because of our interview we have coming up. Kind of an impromptu thing we kind of threw together here for you. Access Hockey MI's Rachel Anderson will be stopping by to talk about the Red Wings and kind of get ready for the matchup tonight between the Washington Capitals and the Detroit Red Wings in Motown. Second time this year that the Caps have met the Red Wings. Washington fell to Detroit in overtime earlier this season. Can they bounce back tonight? We'll talk to her about the young kids that are tearing it up in Detroit. But we'll also get into some of the injury news. I have to clarify something because, well, there was something that happened. Listen, the show yesterday, okay, we'll get to it all later because there's something that happened. I said it on the show yesterday, had to literally cut the entire show and redo it because of the fact of something that happened, but apparently it didn't happen. So we'll get to all that here in just a moment. But got to thank you all for making Locked On Capitals your first listen and first watch today and every day. Free and available on all platforms, your favorite podcatcher, or even on YouTube. That's right, kids. This is our first week we're on YouTube, and we're going to keep continuing strong because it's fun. We love doing it here on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Locked On Capitals on YouTube, which means you get to watch me and see this face, this lovely mug of mine all the time. So I got to get something out of the way quickly here. For those that don't know, on yesterday's show, I talked about Vitek Vanecek going under shoulder surgery because the folks at Angel Network kindly posted it on their feed that Vitek Vanecek went under shoulder surgery and is week to week, which is very similar to what happened with Anthony Mantha a week and a half prior. Now, Vitek Vanecek did get knocked by Jeff Skinner late in the third period, got up rather slowly, and was able to finish the game, though. Granted, there was less than a minute left in that hockey game. My question is this, though. Who the heck reported that? Seriously. You make me look like a fool here. I was already mad because I had to go back and re-record and put it in there and cut it out because I was literally yesterday's episode was cut and completed, was uploading, and I had to erase it. All right, excuse me, I had to take it off and try it again. Because of that, I don't mind it. I like it. But the problem is this, they don't really have any major insiders, so now we look like fools because that's what we reported on, and shame on me, first of all, for not checking other sources, because typically Tariq El-Bashir, who writes for The Athletic for the Washington Capitals, JJ Reagan, and Samantha Pell, none of them reported it, but I was at that point of the night. I just wanted to get it done, get it out of the way. I didn't want to miss it because, unfortunately, like most people in this industry, I don't like to be behind. And I thought if I post this, because we did record about 6 o'clock last night, 6:30 last night, or excuse me, 6:30 Tuesday night, because I had a lot going on Wednesday morning and whatnot. So I was like, all right, let's just get this done. I'm like, let's record it. It'd be great. We're fine. And I went to bed because I had an early morning. And yeah, so I do apologize on that front. So here's the actual story that we have here. I was right on one thing. Zachary Fucale did get called up from the Hershey Bears, as did Alexei Protas as well, to join, because Nick Dowd right now has been placed on IR with a lower body injury. Remember, he got hurt during that game against the Buffalo Sabres. So now, what does this mean? Vitek Vanecek was on the ice on Wednesday skating and taking shots. Zach Fucale was out there as well. So all three goaltenders were out there. Fucale will be traveling with the team. He'll be in Detroit tonight, and he'll also be in Columbus tomorrow. Now what we're starting to learn is that this is more of a precautionary tale. This is more or less not because of the fact that they need an extra goaltender. This is because of the fact that they need to have more. They just want to make sure if Vanecek can't go, they can put Fucale in pads. Now, whether or not he plays, I'm not sure. I am still under the inclination that if Vanecek's not good to go, you give Fucale a shot. Mainly because I'm not confident having Ilya Samsonov play back-to-back games. You could throw Samsonov in tonight against the Detroit Red Wings, and then maybe if you have to, put Fucale in against the Blue Jackets. Yes, I get it. Columbus is playing great, but so are the Red Wings. Both teams' offenses are clicking, and listen, here's my thing. Fucale's having a good start here with Hershey in the American League this year. I'm not saying this guy has earned a spot in the National Hockey League, but he's boy, you talk about paying dues. This guy was in Fort Wayne a couple seasons ago. I remember covering him when I was with the ECHL. I remember seeing him like, dude, this guy should not be here. But my thing is like, is a rested Zach Fucale in his first National Hockey League start as good, or how much worse can he be compared to an Ilya Samsonov, who has not been the number one goaltender for the Washington Capitals this year, playing on a second half of a back-to-back, playing back-to-back nights? I'm not Peter Laviolette. I'm not going to make that decision for him. But I'm just saying, if it comes down to the case where Vanecek's not 100%, because I don't want my starting goaltender to not play if he is not 100% this early in the season, if I have choice to pick up points one night, go for hard the first night, and then you have kind of a rough roster in game two, give Fucale a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Darn tiddly do. That's how things are. So I really hope, obviously, I hope Vanecek gets back better. But you know what? I would not mind seeing Fucale get a start. Give that guy who has been up and down in the American League, the ECHL. Listen, he was in Laval. He was supposed to be the successor, to Carey Price. Went down to Laval, stunk it up, went down to Brampton, was okay, won the Spangler Cup all of a sudden, went to Fort Wayne because Brampton didn't have enough spots for him. Then he was in, I think was he not in the Boston system? I think he was in the Boston system at one point or something like that. And now he's with the Capitals, and now he's with Hershey, having a great start. Give him a shot, eh? Just give him a look. That's my thing. I would not be disappointed if he did. And I'm sure there's some people in Hershey that say, you know what? Fucale's a nice guy. Give him a go. And maybe, you never know, things may work out where all of a sudden he becomes a stud muffin. Wouldn't that be something, eh? So with that, we're going to move along here. Mainly because we don't have a whole lot of time, because we had such a great interview earlier. I did record an interview earlier with Rachel Anderson from Access Hockey MI, talking about the Detroit Red Wings and their young kids coming up that have made this team so good. Fun team to watch, fun team to view. Maybe not a fun team to play against. We'll see that tonight at Little Caesars Arena. But I got to tell you guys about BetOnline. They're back in better than ever with a new web interface and for the start of the NHL season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all of the hockey action this season. You can go to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit by using the promo code LOCKEDON to receive the bonus. From basketball, football, baseball, NHL, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of the amazing offers available for the 21-22 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. And as we mentioned off the top of the show, with the Detroit Red Wings on the Washington Capitals menu tonight, we're going to get a little more insight, not just on the team itself, because we've talked about them all the time. You know about the legendary teams from the 90s and the Yzermans, the Fedorovs, the Russian Five, the whole kit and caboodle. What about the new kids on the block? What about these young guys that all of a sudden made a difference and all of a sudden made this team, dare I say, a competitive team in the Atlantic Division? Well, with that, we must bring on someone who knows a thing or two about the young kids. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show from Access Hockey MI, Rachel Anderson. Rachel, how are we doing today?
Doing very well. That was an excellent intro. Thank you. I'm flattered.
So, quick backstory for everyone. This is probably, what is this, the fourth or fifth time, Rachel, we've
Fifth,
done?
I think it's the fifth. Yeah.
We've done this thing a few times before, and on my previous show, and I'll be honest, I found Rachel and Janae. Janae's her sister. They do an awesome job there, Access Hockey MI, on one of those late night YouTube doom scrolling sessions where you just go down a deep rabbit hole.
Yep.
And I don't know, I was on the Lumberjacks, and because they cover not just the Detroit Red Wings, they obviously cover the Grand Rapids Griffins, which is where we live, and also a little bit of the Toledo Walleye and the Muskegon Lumberjacks of the United States Hockey League. So they do so much awesome work, and I'm like, we got to talk to these. I got to talk to these two girls. Done a couple of shows. Janae unfortunately wasn't able to make it on today. Shucks, Jolly B. Willikers. But first of all, Rachel, how have you been?
I've been really, really good. It's been a good season so far, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I said to myself at the beginning of this, I said to a lot of people, the Red Wings are going to be better this year. They can't get any worse. And there's, Nedeljkovic and a couple of other young guys, and Bertuzzi's still becoming, up and comer. But the big thing I think of, like the team is 7-5-2, and as we stand right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs are current. As we're recording this, they're playing the Philadelphia Flyers. So this could change by the time you hear it. But they're second in the Atlantic Division, Rachel.
Hey, I'm just as surprised as
This
you
is
are.
not 2012. What is happening here?
Dude, I don't know. Like, it's a pleasant surprise. I'm happy. I mean, I thought they were gonna do just a little bit better this season, but it's still very early on. I don't wanna get too excited, but there's a lot to be excited about. So, hey, I'll take it.
And I mean, obviously, we can talk about the team itself. Nedeljkovic played,
Mhm.
played really well this past weekend. Thomas Greiss has been a great story, and obviously Tyler Bertuzzi, while he can't play in Canada for some reason, Rachel, don't know why that's a thing. The reason
I will not comment on that.
oh, I can only do so much. I can only beat the ground until it turns into soil eventually. But
Yep.
the real reason
Yep.
I wanted to have you on, because we've talked a lot, because you guys specialize, you and Janae, about the
Mhm.
prospects. Like I said, obviously you talk a lot with the Griffins, so you see a lot of these young kids come up. So you've seen guys like Denny Cholowski, Evgeny
Mhm.
Svechnikov, who's having a great run over there in
Right.
Winnipeg. God forbid what happens when he joins an NHL team, right, Rich?
I'm excited for that when that happens.
And but we love talking about the draft picks, and you guys
Mhm.
know so much about these players when they come over from Europe, and unfortunately, not all of us can risk our laptops with bootlegging some of those Swedish
I wouldn't
league and
suggest it all the time.
the Swiss national B league teams. But
Yep.
a couple of the players that we're seeing right now that we knew they were going to be good.
Mhm.
We just didn't think it was going to be this year, next year. Heck, you and I talked a couple months ago and we said,
Mhm.
Moritz Seider, well, he's a good defenseman. He's probably going to make it in Detroit, but he's
Right.
not going to go right to Detroit. Right? He's going to go to Grand Rapids, have some fun down there, and then eventually get called up.
Mhm.
Well, Stevie Eiserman says knave to that. We're going to bring this kid in there. And also Lucas Raymond, who we weren't even sure was even going to
Yeah.
come to North America. And all of a sudden, he's one of the best players. Like, these two guys are the two best players, even though, yes, Bertuzzi has the most points. But, like,
Yeah.
in terms of the most surprising best players on this team, it's Raymond and Seider, the
Mhm.
Swede and the German.
Yeah, I'm just as shocked as you are, honestly, and I'm okay with eating my words a little bit because not just your podcast, but I know I talked to several other people where I was like, it might be a little soon. Detroit is not known to just take rookies and pull them right away. That's just not the culture we had had up until this season. So I was just completely thrown off. Yeah, they're good, but I had I guess kind of an old way of thinking. So thanks to Eiserman for completely messing that up and making me have to eat my words and apologize to a lot of people. But Cider, I think the thing with him is that he did have that one full season in Grand Rapids before the shutdown, before he got sent back overseas. So
Right.
he did have that development time in Grand Rapids. I personally didn't think it was going to be considered enough by the team to pull him. I'm happy to be wrong. And with Raymond, yeah, there's a lot of question marks whether or not he was even going to be here with everything going around, globally. At the very least, I thought he was going to be in Grand Rapids, get used to the North American way of doing things, and then pull him if he's got a good preseason. But I was absolutely shocked, and I'm still shocked every time I look at the stats and watch the games. I'm just floored at how productive they've been so far.
Heading into this game tonight, Bertuzzi leads the team with 15 points in 11 games played. Like I said, 3 games less than everyone else. But Lucas Raymond and Mo Seider are second and third. Raymond with 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points. Mo Seider leads the team in assists, not just defenseman, leads the team in assists with 9, 2 goals, 9 assists,
Mhm.
11 points. The only 3 players on the Wings roster right now to have double-digit points. But the thing is, and I think one thing is crazy about this, is that there are Griffins kind of spread out through this entire lineup. Obviously, we talk about
Mhm.
Philip Gronick, who's been there for a couple of years now. Philip Zadina, who
Yep.
has been this will he, won't he type deal. But then there's also down the list, you got Gustav Lindstrom, Mitchell Stevens is another that's kind of gotten some reps with
Mhm.
Grand Rapids. I mean, this just shows that while Kenny Holland may have, I don't want to say the word sabotage, towards the end of his time with all those long contracts,
Right.
put him in a bind. But now Stevie Eisman's going back to the model that when he was the assistant GM behind Kenny Holland, this development with players in
Mhm.
Grand Rapids to bring them up to Detroit. So when they finally make it to the big time, they're ready to go.
Right. Yeah, and I think I've said it before that I think Detroit and Grand Rapids have always had a really good relationship as far as prospect development and the whole purpose of the team. I think, like, I'd say maybe a handful of NHL clubs really have their developmental pipeline down this season with how aggressive Eiserman has been with using the young talent. It's really cool to see because there's so much higher level of competition in Grand Rapids as a result of that, because there's maybe a handful of guys battling for spots, but it's so tight right now that they're having to push harder than they ever had before. And the way that the culture has been absolutely shifted this last season, it just puts, I think, a more of a drive for these guys that we've drafted in the last 2 or 3 seasons that are getting ready to come over. It puts more of a drive and a little bit more of a fire under their butt to work harder in Grand Rapids because they see the opportunity is closer than maybe it had been in the past. And like with Gustav Lindstrom, even Michael Rasmussen, Giovanni Smith, all of those guys for the last couple of seasons have been developing in Grand Rapids, and we absolutely love to see the talent not get wasted. I think Svechnikov, you had mentioned him previously. I think he kind of got the short end of the stick on that, where he kind of got lost in that pipeline the way it used to be, where they wanted the 3 full seasons of development and then you get looked at. And, I admittedly, I am not always a big fan of pulling rookies right away. I think there should be some caution there, but with the risk and the reward in this situation, I think it's paid off entirely. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the future rookies are just, 1, 2 seasons and then that's it. Either
Right.
Eiserman pulls them in or he sends them off. So I love the quick decision making that's happening.
Yeah, because well, there were some obviously some Griffin. There's always some players in minor
Yeah.
league systems that hang out for a while.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, this is the first season in Grand Rapids where we don't get to see a guy like Joe Hicketts.
Oh my gosh, that's
Uh,
killing me.
I
It's
it
absolutely killing me.
my brother, wife, and his girlfriend. We went to opening night, and I knew going in. I'm like, this is gonna be a weird game, everybody. I'm like, what's wrong? And I'm
Yep.
like, well, it's a Friday night. Obviously, it's a nice full house, but there's no Joe
Joe
Hicketts.
is not there, and then the game that we played against Iowa, him and Turge had multiple points that night, and I was like, "That's exactly what I knew was gonna happen," and it wasn't fair.
Former
I hated it.
players going up scoring against their former teams. What is this? Like
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leafs? I mean, come on now. Let me tell you.
Womp womp.
I will say this though. The Red Wings themselves, it's we always say the tipping point or the measuring stick of how good a team is going to be is American Thanksgiving or December 1st, whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. I don't know, like, cause I mean, the Buffalo Sabres starting to come down to earth, but the Anaheim Ducks and like the California teams are all of a sudden surging up, and these were all
Right.
teams that we said were going to be bad. The Red Wings, I don't want to drop the word bad. That's kind of unfair to them, but like we didn't expect them to be a playoff team,
Mm-mm.
especially with the Atlantic Division, with Tampa, the Stanley Cup champions,
Right.
Boston. They're still good. The Leafs are, well, they're good, but we don't know them
They're
anymore.
over here. We just
But, and Ottawa was gonna be tougher, and it just seemed like it was gonna be not easy for them to get into the
right.
playoffs, but yet we are here on I'll just date myself, November 10th, and they're technically 2nd in the division.
Right. Yeah.
Does it sustain? That is the big
Yeah.
question.
I think at this point, I think it's safe to say, barring any catastrophe as far as injuries go, I think that tends to plague us halfway through the season. We start getting hit real hard with injuries. I think it
Clearly,
could
you're not
be.
following the Washington Capitals because 'cause they're having a great time right now.
Well, I think it could be sustainable as long as they keep this momentum, and I think it's clear that there's a ton of buy-in to Steve's system, and I think Larkin is becoming the leader that he's needed to be, on the ice, not just in the locker room anymore. He's not just making excuses, and I think that's good for the team to be able to follow behind. Bertuzzi is having the season he needed to have,
Oh, yeah.
with the surgery and everything and with arbitration. I think, and I was a little skeptical with that, honestly. I had my reservations with how Bertuzzi was going to play out, and he's shoving it in everybody's face. And we need players like that to be doing that. We had Joe Veleno up for a little while. He had a point
Yep.
and assist, goal and assist his first night. So I think if they can sustain this kind of energy and momentum, I don't know. We could be in a playoff running or at least on the bubble for a wild card spot. I mean, I don't want to put it so far out there where, I'm being a naysayer, but at the same time, between and now we have solid goaltending too. That's something we've lacked for several seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And now we have that. And that's a huge factor in even becoming a playoff contending team. So I think it's possible.
Yeah, right now Nedeljkovic is 3-2-2 with a 914 save percentage, not too shabby. Thomas Greiss does have a 3.24 goals against average, but you have a couple lopsided losses against Montreal early in the season.
Right.
Your numbers will do that, but still has a 906 and is 4-3.
Yeah.
It's and that, like you said, that has been the problem really since, dare I say, since Peter Mrazek left town.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because he's on the shelf again with a groin injury in Toronto,
Yeah.
which makes everyone so happy. But I look at this team and I'm like, by the way, Giovanni Smith does not have a point yet this season. We need to fix that because
We do, but he's such a cool guy.
Giovanni, we trust. Giovanni Smith is like I love saying this and I don't mind saying it. He is the next Wayne Simmons. He is the up and coming Wayne Simmons. This big, rough kid.
He's got muscle.
He's strong. And he's big, but he's not like muscular, like big. He's
But
just
then
like
again,
hard hitting, and he's
yeah.
like he's weighted. He's like, I don't know.
Right. Well, I don't know. To me, with him, a player like him, because we've watched him for several years too, or several
yeah.
seasons, I should say, where he's grown so much in maturity, and it doesn't always reflect on the score sheet. And that's something I think it's very easy. Like when we're looking at Sider and Raymond, obviously they're producing like crazy, but you need your grinders. You need your guys that are willing to get in there. They might not always get the points, but they make it possible for the point makers to get those points.
Right.
So I don't know. I hope people don't give up on him because he's not putting up points quite yet.
I don't know if you guys kind of heard this earlier here on Lockdown Caps with Rachel Anderson from Access Hockey MI. I've kind of watched the Griffins my entire life, so I know a few of these players.
It's almost like we were raised here.
Exactly. You know what? It's okay though now, because now Andrew Schein I think is the last Griffin that's on the team now that I actually skated with when I was playing. So I guess I'm at that point now where I am that old where it's
you are a relic.
Well, shoot, when I was playing, there was Eric Tangrady was there, Marty Ferk, who by the way is leading the American League in points right now, just tearing up with Ontario. But then again, the Kings don't need him because they're on a 6-game win streak, excuse me, after beating Montreal the other night. But there was Marty Ferk, Jeff Hogan was still playing.
Yep.
And they're going to retire his number this year, the Van Andel. Yep. That's how long ago
that's gonna
that
be a special night. Yeah.
That Michelle Picard, who I've known Picard since I was a kid because once again I go to all the signings and I meet all these players. I met Chad Billings after he left Grand Rapids, but like I just knew a bunch of the Griffins, so I'd go to the games or whatever. I would bark at them from 201 or whatever. Like I'm like,
it's a good spot.
Oh man, you didn't. That's the one bummer about by the time I started phasing out of that. Joe Hickett's never came to town. And I never had a chance to tell him to his face that, Joe, you cost Canada the 2016 quarterfinal, and you know it.
But he got us a Calder, so we'll take that, right?
Listen, you can't be perfect all the time. He kind of made up for it, and let's be honest, that was Nathan Page's team. He was the front runner for that hockey team. Good old Nathan Page. That was another Griffin. That was another Griffin I skated with. Actually, met his family because they came out one time.
Yeah,
he's a good dude. My buddy Thomas Biano came by this past weekend. Good buddy Thomas, friend of my old show, I guess I can say. I was thinking about getting him on for this one. I'm like, you know what? We haven't given Rachel a call in a while. Let's get Rachel on. And also, Thomas works like way too much and is probably sick of me because he spent the entire weekend with me. So I'm like, let's give him a break of me too. But he literally came up to me, and he's a big Red Wings guy, big Detroit guy, and follows the Wings, and he can talk about him. He comes over to me, and we're sitting there at the Van Andel because we went to see Dave Matthews on Saturday night, and he's like, do the Griffins really have anyone right now? And I'm like, well, there's a couple players. Like can't miss prospects with Raymond going up and Sutter going up. I think that's what he's kind of pertaining to.
Yeah.
Who are some of the guys? Obviously the goaltending is still the big question mark.
We're working it out
because I'm sorry, Calvin. I love Calvin Pickard so much because he's a former Leaf and he's a guy that's a journeyman. I'm always up for the journeyman conversations, but at his age, he should not be your top goaltending prospect. But up front, though, there is some talent in Grand Rapids that maybe not getting a call just yet, but something down the line for Motown.
I would say, oh gosh, in what position? Like goaltending, defense, forwards, or just everything? Because it kind of varies.
Well, let's goaltending is tough for me because I'm a little bit of a skeptic because I see Calvin Pickard leading the team, and it's like, oh, good, Pickard's doing well, which means the team's about 500 right now, and it's like, but
they've been struggling with that. I know.
Of course, we have the Philip Larson issue, which wouldn't say. Pat Nagel was the best goaltender Bear
Yes.
State alum, Pat Nagel. So who do they got back there right now?
I would say Victor Brattstrom. So we took him over from Sweden this season. It's kind of at a season delay. He's had a shaky start. So Pickard is the veteran. He's one of the only goaltenders I've ever trusted besides Nagel. But Brattstrom, he has really good foundational abilities, but I think he just gets hyped out in the game. He gets caught up in the momentum instead of controlling it. And I think that's something he's going to have to work on. So goaltending right now, it's not like I wouldn't say it's necessarily a must watch at this point,
Yeah.
but with
Until
defense,
Sebastian Costa comes up.
right.
He's probably right now. Steve Eisenman's like, if this doesn't work, oh my gosh, we're just gonna stop picking goaltenders.
Yeah, right. They take so long. But
Right.
with defense, you've got Sabrango, and on the tail end of development is Jared McIsaac.
Mm.
So these two are kind of like Sabrango's obviously the newer kid. He was there last season because of contract and travel stuff because of the pandemic. So he actually got kind of a jump start on his professional career that kept him around. He's been doing well. I think season over season, he's not someone that is going to be ready in the next 2 seasons. It's going to take some time for him. He's definitely learned to control the game a little bit more and to be able to settle it down, get a little bit more physical. But McIsaac is kind of a fun one for me. And I would say he would be the must watch for defense because he's at the end of his entry, because it's a make or break it season for him. And he had battled injury up until this point. So he finally had a healthy summer, finally had a healthy camp-ish after getting hit hard.
Right.
And he came back to start the season. So it wasn't bad. So I think with him, he's looking to prove a point. He's looking to kick down the door and make his move. So I think between the two of those, keep an eye on McIsaac, see if he actually makes that move. With forwards,
McIsaac, I walked by him because I walk downtown to work all the time.
Yeah.
I forgot he's not as tall as I thought. Like
No.
former health expert said, McIsaac. I'm walking by him and I'm like, "Hey, Jared, really? That's it?" I'm like, he's listed at
look
6'1",
like giants.
but he's like on 6'1". I'm like, on skates maybe, but maybe I was wearing nice shoes that day. I don't know.
You were wearing heels, probably.
Yes, that's
Platform
right.
shoes.
Just walking down with those 8-inchers. I'm like, you
Discotheque.
Exactly.
I would say for the forwards, and I've gushed about these two, the forwards to watch would be Jonathan Berggren, who Bob Kaiser says Jonathan Berggren, so I'm going to take his word for it. It's Swedish, so we're going to go with that. And then Kuehl Tutayev. They're both really fun to watch. They're both very creative skaters, incredibly different styles of play. They're both going to take another 2 seasons, 3 seasons, maybe. Tutayev, he's on the smaller side. He's gained 30 pounds since he was drafted in 2018 or 19. I think it was 19. So he's gained a ton of weight. Berggren he's got fancy feet. The kid knows how to dangle and get into those tiny little slots. So those two, they're going to be competing against each other this entire season for a slot. So, and they're already been really exciting to watch, but it's again, going to be a couple seasons for them. They're not going to be NHL, within the next season or 2.
Right. And Berggren, let's just be happy he found the right Grand Rapids before the season started.
That poor kid got chirped so bad about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So for those that don't know the story here, Jonathan Berggren, I feel like he's going because he is Swedish, like I said, and they like to say Jan,
Right.
even with a J.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Berggren got cut from camp. Here's the thing: he got cut from camp, but he was in Detroit. No, he was in Detroit for trade.
Yeah.
Preseason.
It was trade. Yeah.
Got cut from preseason play from that camp, and typed in his GPS Grand Rapids. Unfortunately, he did not know that there is multiple Grand Rapids, and there's probably some people right now screaming, "Oh, Grand Rapids, Minnesota, great high school hockey."
Grand Rapids, Ohio.
Grand Rapids, Ohio is where he went, and I have to tell you this: I know where Grand Rapids, Minnesota is. I did not know there was a Grand Rapids, Ohio, and I'm pretty sure it's next to a windmill. Like, that's how small this place is.
He said it was a really small, village is what he called it. His English is a little choppy, but he called it a village. So I was like, yeah it's like a 1 mile long street. Poor kid.
I lived in Lucknow, Ontario. I thought that was small. This seems smaller according to Google Maps. And thankfully made it back to the right Grand Rapids. Because I remember I saw him open night. I'm like, he didn't score, but I was like, all right, he's got something going on the right foot here.
I think they've both gained a lot of confidence though too. I think both of them were confident players coming in, but kind of getting used and adapting to the team. And the team's changed a lot. We've had PTOs and all that kind of stuff in and out and lots of transactions so far. But I think they've shown that they can gel really well. And even Berggren's been on a line with Veleno mostly Valeno and I think Hiroshi alternately. So, I mean, those some fast guys. And Pearson, so he's with a really fast line. Tuchayev, he's been in special team situations. He's getting a ton of ice too. So those two will be, I think, over the next couple of seasons, definitely the ones to watch. And hopefully their points pick up a little bit, but they're already off to a pretty good start, I would say.
That's true. Have you two been getting media passes this season for things?
So how we have to do it is Janae gets a game by game pass because the photographers are very limited as to where they can go.
Right.
And then as far as writers and journalists, depending on how full the press box is and how full the stands are, basically I get a media ticket. So I get sat somewhere in the arena. Yeah, I can still do the Zoom calls and interviews and stuff like that remotely. They're only doing remote interviews right now. So I still get the access. It's just a little bit different seating situation.
Okay, that's good. That's him.
Yeah.
I was about to give Randy a quick call there. I'm like, Randy, what are you doing?
No,
Shutting these girls out. I was about to fight him. I talk to him every single day, or about email him about once a week or whatever. So I'm gonna say, I was weekly. I'm like, Randy.
Yeah, they got a new guy. They got a new guy. He's been super cool to work with and super easy to work with.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Andrew, yes. Yeah. Andrew's been the one I've been reaching out to. Well, I know. Yeah. Well, Randy was the main guy last year, and I know this is a massive, complete and utter tangent I'm going on here. Well, Randy, I met Randy personally last month ago, and like, because I reached out to him many times, like, hey, if you ever need help, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Apparently, his son broadcasts for Central Michigan Hockey for their ACHA teams, and they were down playing Davenport. I have me broadcasting the game, and I look over and I'm like, and they're broadcasting, like, hey, I'm Regan Cleves. I'm like, is your dad Randy Cleves? Oh yeah, he's right over there, and he comes in over like, you're Tyler, aren't you? I'm like, oh, good Lord. Hi, Randy. Nice to finally meet you.
I don't know. What did I do?
what did I do this time? Like, I don't think I sent anything back to you in an email.
No.
Man, yeah, Randy's a cool guy. So
no, they set it up really well this year, though.
Especially because I know I talk to a lot of other people, and it's all everything's virtual. You can't get near the players, and that's why it was a big deal. Alexander Ovechkin delivering pizza to the press row at the MedStar Center.
I think we're actually doing our 24-hour charity skate too for New Year's. I think they're still doing that. They're planning on having the in-person. Yeah.
Oh,
so I think they're still planning on doing that. So there'll be a lot of player interaction with that, and I might sneak a few interviews.
Is Rosa Parks gonna be done by then?
Hopefully. They don't have much time.
Well, they usually do it it's usually like late January, isn't it? January, February, something like that.
It's December. It's normally on New Year's.
Oh, they're doing New Year's? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Because I've done that. I haven't done anything media-wise for it, but I've been down there a couple of times. Met Timo Pulkkinen that way.
Yeah. Whatever happened to that guy?
Went to Iowa and haven't heard from him since. I just still remember that summer after I met him, he took a slap shot, hit me right in the left bicep, deflated it.
Nice.
There's a reason why his nickname is the Holy Slapper, kids. Before I let you go here, Rachel, I'll give you two things. One, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. The game tonight, and it's Washington-Detroit. Washington is back on the winning track after losing a couple games. The Red Wings are on a win streak again, a 3-game win streak this time around, and a couple of big wins. They take Vegas. Stuart Skinner started for Edmonton, so I'm going to put a slight asterisk, but they only held Connor McDavid to a single point. So that's a pretty solid performance, dare I say. How do you think the game goes tonight in Detroit?
I don't know. I mean, they've shown to be pretty edgy and very unpredictable. So I think, honestly, I think they could pull off a win. They've beaten really good teams so far, or at least have given really good teams a run for their money, and been able to get a point off of it by tying it or whatever the case may be. So honestly, I think they could pull it off regardless of who it is. I think they've got the tenacity for it. They got a little fight in them now.
As long as it's not Montreal, right? That's the only thing that matters. As long as it's not them right now. That's the only team Montreal can seem to beat. Holy moly. Is Janae vacuuming right now?
No, that's my heater.
Oh, it's your heater. Oh, jeez.
That's my heater turning on.
Well,
I got to heat a house, man.
That's true. That's true, man. I can tell, man. Well,
can't wait for that energy bill.
Oh, man. I tell you, that's been one thing in the house. That's been a shot in the arm. It's like, oh, everything's more expensive.
It sure is.
Rachel, you and Janae, of course, like I said, do awesome stuff for Access Hockey MI, and I think more and more people should find out more about you guys. You can follow them, of course, folks, at Access Hockey MI. Check them out. They're on YouTube, just like you're watching this right now on YouTube on Locked On Capitals. Jump on over to Access Hockey MI. We'll throw it in the description here of this video. What do you guys got coming up here soon?
We are doing a ton of prospect analysis. So the guys overseas that haven't been brought over yet, we're just kind of taking a look at our Euros, seeing what's going on right now, dating back to the 2018 till now. So we're going through one at a time, just kind of breaking it down where they're at, where their future it could be in Detroit, or if not, and it's just going to be little analysis blurbs, nothing too exhaustive, but that's going to be kind of the going rate up until the new year.
Oh man, that's going to be something. And
Yeah.
are you still are you able to go to Jack's games, or are they pretty quiet
Absolutely.
on that stuff too?
Oh, yeah, oh no, we've every weekend. Yeah, they've been having a rough season so far, off to a very rough start. But yeah, we've been
It's because
faithfully
Scott's
going.
not there anymore. That's why.
I know. They
No,
got rid of the best part of the team.
I was so shocked, and I know Ryan very well because he's from Bowling Green. I met him a couple times doing college games, so he's a cool guy. But I'm like, what, like, Scott? What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to Scott shortly after they announced that, and it's good for him. He loves it, and he still goes, and so yeah, go him.
He's always been very helpful for me in my career, so I can never speak poorly of the man. But we've been chatting up here with Rachel Anderson, one half of Access Hockey MI. Seriously, guys, go check them out. I know you guys are listening for the Cap stuff, but if you want to be curious on who the Caps may be facing in the playoffs in the future, check them out, because then you'll be like, wait a second. When they get called up and they scored 2 or 3 goals against whoever may be in net, because I don't know who's in net anymore for the Capitals these days with everyone getting hurt. They'd be like, hey, I remember when Rachel and Janae, those two over there, they said about a thing or two about these players, and I knew that was going to happen. You should have watched out for that point shot, because they said he has it, and that's probably how
that's what we've been saying all these years. We've been saying, guys, we've been telling you for 3 years now, just watch it.
We've been up at 4 a.m. watching Skellefteå versus Jokerit, because that was the big game of the Champions League, and I told y'all about it.
We're still trying to hack into some Russian footage. That's a little scarier than anything else. So
you gotta be careful.
We haven't gotten quite behind that.
You gotta be careful, because some people will knock on your door wearing suits and gloves, and that's when you got to rush out the back door. So you got to be careful when you do that.
No, see, we're hoping to befriend Tuchayev close enough to where he lets us watch his Russian TV, so then we don't have to worry about it, because he's Russian.
Ooh,
so he's fine.
Smart.
He's probably a double agent, honestly.
He's looking. All right, he's going up to. Well, now it's Kovalchuk, who's the GM for Russia. I'm like, all right. These are I'm not going to try. I dare not try to do a Russian accent, because someone will find me. It's like, all right, these are the guys.
I've been trying. It just is not working.
All you do is you just end up sounding like a jerk, and I'm like, if I try to do it now, everyone's going to peel off, and somehow someone is going to get relayed to Ovechkin, and then Ovechkin's going to go up to the folks in lockdown and says he's not allowed to do this anymore. That's how it's
fire that man.
He suck. This guy suck. Like
he sucked back.
This guy's taking bucks. He sucks bad. We were chatting with Rachel. Rachel, unfortunately, I can only do so much, because we could probably talk for an hour. We could break down every single player, and we could easily talk about every single chaos or shenanigans that we both pulled at Griffins games in our day. Thank you very much. We'll definitely talk, because the Caps and Wings, they play one more time. Maybe we'll chat then and see how the Wings are doing then, and hopefully the Caps are doing well, because if they don't do well, then I have to get angry about them and stuff. So hopefully they'll have.
You're so furious.
Well, Tom Wilson, knock on wood, hasn't done anything dumb yet. So as long as that stays calm, I think
it's still early, man. He's going to do something dumb.
I'm just, trust me, I'm not excited for it. I tell myself, I'm like, listen, I'm very supportive of this hockey club. I like the way he started up, but as soon as he does something dumb,
abandoned ship.
Everyone's the subscribers that we have right now will be deleted quickly. They will leave this channel. Rachel, thanks again for stopping by. We'll definitely talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And a huge shout out once again to Rachel Anderson for jumping on with us. I know it was a longer interview. I know we got a little sidetracked, but hey, you know what? That's fun. Hey, I mean, I'm sorry. I can't be stuck to the script the entire time, because that's no fun. I like kind of chatting it up a little bit with other people about other things. And yes, I live in Grand Rapids. I'm from here, and I was born in 95. The Griffins came in 96. I literally mean I've been watching this franchise since birth. So that's why I always have a little bit of soft spot for any of the Griffins that I see. And I know it's kind of dumb and kind of cheesy, but I have always been a fan. Like when I was kind of for the Leafs a little bit, I never liked Ottawa. However, Chris Neil was on the ice, and I said, you know what? Chris Neil, because he was a Griffin for a couple of years, got into a lot of fights and fought his way up to the NHL. And it was good to see him have a nice long career. So I was always, whenever I saw Chris Neil on the ice, and I'm like, dang it, Chris, why do you have to play for Ottawa? Well, long story short, the Griffins at that time were an affiliate of in the IHL. That's how long ago it was with the Ottawa Senators. That's how Chris Neil got his start in the National Hockey League. And I know he's still working with the franchise. It's awesome to see. So, not a whole lot of time here, but let's quick jump down the scores for tonight's games, along with the Caps and Red Wings. Obviously, at the time I'm recording this, a lot of games going on Wednesday night. So let's look at the games Thursday. The Edmonton Oilers trying to get back from their loss against the Detroit Red Wings, take on the Boston Bruins, who are feeling all right after their win against the Ottawa Senators. But the way the Sens are playing right now, it's not too much. They get to host Los Angeles, who's on a 6-game winning streak. So yikes there in the Canadian capital. Speaking of yikes, Montreal hosting the Calgary Flames, who lost the other night, but still one of the hottest teams in the league. Haha, that's hilarious. They're Flames. They have a flaming logo. Islanders go visit New Jersey at Prudential Center. Just a couple more weeks, guys. I think it's over a week away now till UBS Arena opens up to the Islanders. Panthers and Penguins. Pittsburgh trying to bounce back desperately, even though without a lot of their star players, going up against a Panthers team that kind of had their lunch handed to them the other night. Preds and Blues in St. Louis. Sharks and Jets in a very intriguing game out west. Colorado, the under 500 Colorado Avalanche. That team is just not playing well right now. They're taking on the Vancouver Canucks, who are about where we expect them at 5-6-2. Minnesota and Vegas. The rematch of the first round last year. I'm interested to see this game because, well, Minnesota, they may be back to playing a little bit of boring hockey, but it's working. It's gives them W's. They're 8-3 this year. And then you have to cap the night off as well, Anaheim taking on Seattle there at Climate Pledge Arena. So that is really it for this one, folks. Yeah, I know it's kind of a weird episode. Not a whole lot of just me. I know you guys are all so ashamed, but it's okay. Rachel Anderson from Access Hockey MI made it certainly fun. I hope she did. She did for me. It's always fun chatting up with her. We have a crossover episode coming up tomorrow. It'll be with the Columbus Blue Jackets because obviously that's who the Caps play on Friday. It's going to be recorded before the game. I should give a disclosure there. Unfortunately, I'm traveling tomorrow, going to Denver, so I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to really do a show after the game. And also, they're kind enough to make time out of their schedule as well. They're busy as well. So we're just thinking, let's just do it, kind of have some fun with it, talk about the respective teams, similar to what we did with Armando last week with the Florida Panthers. Go back and forth. We're going to kind of be the host, if you will, of the show. So we'll certainly do something. It'll be fun talking with them over there at Locked On Blue Jackets. So be sure to tune in on Friday as well. I'll still do my Locked On Now. Like I know you all love me to hear, yell, and scream. It will be in a hotel room or hotel lobby somewhere. So it may look and sound weird, but guess what? It'll be something, and something is better than nothing. Thank you very much for watching this episode and listening to this episode of Locked On Capitals. Be sure to go make your second listen of the day, Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all of your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. Be sure to follow us at Locked On Caps on Twitter. Follow me, the Insider of the Insiders, TJKU29 on Twitter and the Instagrams. We'll be back tomorrow, like I said, with a fun crossover episode, and then we'll be back to normal-ish, whatever normal is these days, on Monday. Follow us on YouTube and wherever you get your favorite podcasts because, there's lots of them out there, lots of platforms. We're on all of them here at Locked On Caps. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you tomorrow.